Hi, I'm Adam,
This is Kevin.
and we are Tech Guys Who Invest. This is the place for business people and investors to learn all about investing. We offer a fresh perspective on what it's like to have a day job while investing, and we share lessons learned on our investing journey. Our vision is to educate and entertain you while adding tons of value to your daily commute. Welcome to our show.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Tech Guys Who Invest podcast, where it's our job to educate you on how to invest wisely and safely. Now, we're talking about a popular topic today that's all about money. In fact, it's all about raising capital. Adam and I will go through how we approach raising capital, why we do it, and really, we hope you understand the value that each partner brings to an opportunity when somebody like Adam and myself are bringing the opportunities to a capital investor potentially like you are. So if you're curious at all why real estate investors raise capital, I hope you'll get that from this show. If you want to learn more about the projects that Adam and I are doing to get financially free, reach out to us, techguyswhoinvest@gmail.com. So without further ado, here's the episode.
Kevin, tell me about what your capital raising actions and goals are right now. What are you doing in terms of raising capital?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I would say that what I'm doing right now is all about education, right? That's part of the podcast for Tech Guys Who Invest. It's part of the Secondhand Success. It's education through my own actions. Because if I'm empathizing with the capital investor, why would I want to invest in Kevin? Right? I need to have that thought process, and I need to approach it in that same regard, being able to answer that type of a question. And that's where being transparent with the things that I'm doing, what I am taking action on, the research that I'm doing, the due diligence, all of those things are amounting to answering that question of why would I want to invest. Kevin is showing that he knows what he's doing. He's taking lots of action. He is networking with the right kind of people. He is putting the right team in place so that if I'm a capital investor, I'm comfortable putting X amount of dollars into an investment in a partnership with Kevin. Does that make sense?
I think that's awesome. Yeah. And you and I are in the same situation. We're both raising capital. We're both learning how to raise capital.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think is interesting. We are trying to learn how you raise capital as two people who didn't learn that growing up. It's not a skill they teach you in school.
Absolutely. Yeah. So to that point, I would say you have to unlearn and get rid of limiting beliefs. You and I were raised with the same mentality. You need to save up, save before you buy anything. But if you were to do the math, it's just even a conservative rate or an aggressive savings rate, it would take you years, maybe even your entire lifetime of working to be able to afford some of the things that we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, totally. I'm feeling that even more than you because I'm further along. I guess you would probably describe me as mid-career, and I'm looking at my 401k and my retirement that I've been saving my whole career and just thinking, wow, it's pretty scary to think that at this rate, I wouldn't be able to live the lifestyle I'd like to when I retire just by shooing money away into a 401k or retirement.
Absolutely. And then it just doesn't make sense. And it's frustrating with that it's not something that you are educated on at the right capacity. I mean, there are tons of resources out there to raise capital. So why would somebody want to raise capital?
Yeah, I think this goes to what we were talking about with the method of saving in a retirement account through your work not being enough. You want to raise capital so you can do more profitable deals, better deals that will get better returns than you can get in your 401k. And it benefits both of you, the investor who's investing in the deal with you and yourself, because it's the deal that you're both investing in, right?
Absolutely. I also see it as, when I think about it, it's abundance and it's knowing your value as an investor. When I say abundance, there are people out there who have money that's just sitting in an account. They don't know what to do with it. They don't want to touch it. They're afraid, what have you. There's a multitude of reasons behind that psychology. And as an investor, we're actively searching for deals. We're actively networking, building the teams so we can come across and say, look, we have a relationship. If are you interested, I can tell you more. And now you have two parts that make up the deal, the capital and then the deal. So it's you're coming at it from an abundance mindset of, hey, we can create a win-win scenario here.
Yeah, and then for me, with the types of deals that I'm going after, it's the ability to do more as a team than you could possibly do by yourself. So, as you and our listeners probably know by now, I'm focused on larger multifamily deals. I'm working on an 81 unit in Tampa right now. Um, that's a bigger deal than I could do all by myself. Like, even, if I took all of the money out of my retirement savings, don't think I could do that kind of a deal. But you put several of us together, several people like you and me who have some money in a retirement savings that they could direct into a deal like this, and we could get it done. And we can get into a bigger, much more profitable deal than we otherwise would be able to do all by ourselves.
Yeah, I think to that point, running the numbers, what is a standard down payment for a commercial property like that?
Usually 25%.
So let's say it's $1 million. So just
Right.
round numbers, 25% of a million is what? Is a quarter million. So I don't know very many people who have $250,000 in cash just in a 401k or in a savings account. I just don't know very many people. And I'm willing to bet the vast majority of the United States doesn't have that.
Right. Exactly. And then when you took the 81 units, a $5.5 million deal. So, you look at that and run those numbers, it's fewer
Even
people,
crazier.
right? So,
But yeah,
yeah.
and you bring teamwork makes the dream work, right? So we're bringing more and more people together, and everybody's happy because you're creating a deal, you're structuring a deal that makes sense for all the investors.
Yeah, one thing I like about raising capital from people like us who have a professional career, and they're really, a lot of them are just too busy or don't have the interest in doing all the hard work it requires for active investing, but they really need to do better than they're doing in their retirement account or their 401k. And they may not even think about that a lot. It's just out of sight, out of mind. They just squirrel away the money from each paycheck, and every now and then they may think, wow, I hope it's going to be enough, but don't even really spend a whole lot of time thinking about it. This is the types of things that you and I are trying to do, is educate people and help them understand that it is important to be thinking about that stuff, to be taking care of yourself, to ensure you have enough when you retire. And what I love about what we're doing is we're helping people make sure that they have what they need when they retire.
Absolutely. I think we're trying to help people set them up to take care of themselves, their family, build that legacy. And stepping into the shoes of a capital investor, why would you, or like in a deal, what would make it so that you would want to invest in a deal?
Well, I think it's it's a good question, and a lot of it depends on where you are. A lot of the people that you and I both are trying to educate are at square one. They don't even understand what some of these real estate deals look like. So that's pretty scary. And I think they need to be able to understand it really well first and feel very comfortable that they understand how the investment works and what they're getting into. Now, for me, someone who's a little more financially educated, and by no means do I consider myself an expert, but I do consider myself a lifelong student and learner. With where I am right now, I'm pretty comfortable with a lot of deals that would be presented to me. I'm certainly getting very comfortable with the multifamily space. Um, and it's about numbers, I mean, for me, it's about, hey, what do the returns look like on the deal? What I'm looking at things now, kind of like, um, in what form are the returns?
Right.
Or how much of it is cash flow, how much of it is equity, appreciation over the life of the deal, and when will that get returned to me? So those types of things are more important to me now than I didn't even know to look for that stuff not long ago.
Yeah, how you're going to get paid, I think, is a big thing, right?
Right.
How am I going to, am I getting paid quarterly, annually, weekly? All of those things are questions you need to ask. How is it going to come in terms of, is it like a cash flow? Is it a equity? What are those things? Dividends? I think those are things to take into consideration. And in my experience, the more transparent I am with an opportunity, the better it lends itself. And I say that for two reasons. The first is it provides me with credibility and trustworthiness. I don't know if that's a word, but anyways, you're able to trust me more because I'm being upfront and transparent. The second piece is qualification. If we can't create a deal where that person isn't happy on how they're going to get paid, then it's not necessarily worth the headache of trying to smash a square peg into a round hole, right? Like
Right.
if it's just not matching up, that's okay too. And it's important that you walk away if it's not working than trying to force an opportunity to happen.
Well, I think that's goal alignment. And I totally agree with you. And that might be an example of where someone might like to invest with you versus me. I mean, they may decide after talking to us that they would trust us both and feel comfortable that we know what we're doing with our respective deals. But with a particular deal I may present, they may need to be willing to leave their money in for 5 to 7 years, and they'll get pieces of it returned to them over the course of the deal, but not get the full amount plus the investment back for that period of time. Well, that may be okay for some investors, but for others, they may want it to be a little more liquid than that. So that's where they may prefer to invest with you, and your investments will do different things for them. So I think that goal alignment's really important. And that's why it's important when they're talking to people like you and me to really understand what it's going to look like for them as an investor.
Agreed. And I also think it maybe you want to invest in me versus you because I have nicer hair or something like that. I don't know. It depends on the person.
I thought you were going to say because they felt sorry for you because you weren't as good looking.
Ooh. I love it. I love the wooden back. I've got nothing. Moving on.
Oh man.
Um, Speaking of raising capital, while I think that you and I are on the side of transparency, authenticity, and doing it in the right way, there's also the opposite end of the spectrum where people are just throwing BS out there and it's almost predatorial. So, have you seen this on the internet, like on social media? And if so, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I've seen some of that. And man, I really hate it for a lot of different reasons. One of them is because it makes it tougher for guys like you and me, right? We're honest guys really working super hard right now to try to make things happen. And for people who are unfamiliar with investing, a lot of people that we talk to, we're opening their eyes to a whole new world that they didn't even know existed. And it feels a little scary. It's like, why don't more people know about this?
Right.
Why does Adam understand this and he seems to know this, but I haven't heard of this before, right? And then you see those things in the news, like these even well-known investors who lots of people trusted and have lots more money than you and I are talking about, getting brought up on corruption charges and fraud. It just makes it even more difficult for us.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you because it taints it. And usually it only takes one bad experience for somebody to discount the entire thing. And I totally understand. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. If you lose a chunk of change because you got scammed out of something, I mean, you're going to be defensive naturally. So that it sucks that exists. So from what I've seen people who would promise returns. I remember following somebody on Instagram, and literally the first thing they said to me is, "Thanks for following. If you invest this, I can promise you this return." So
Wow.
that is
Wow.
highly illegal. Like,
A
what are you
major
doing?
red flag.
Exactly.
That person should hope and pray that they don't get thrown in jail soon for doing stuff like that.
And I also think if you're interested in providing capital for the deal, be curious. Ask a ton of questions. Ask as much information as you can think of because that is your right, in my opinion. to understand as much as you can. And somebody that's going to withhold information, I think, isn't somebody you want to be investing with.
Yeah, I agree. And the deals that I'm involved with now and see myself doing going forward, we have pieces in the process where people have to sign forms indicating they understand what they're doing. They're an experienced enough investor to understand what they're getting into. And I like that because it makes them think about and document why they're comfortable with this investment, what type of experience they have, because we can't just let anyone in the deal. Like if they don't understand what they're getting into, then it's not going to be good for us or for them.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. So with raising capital, what are ways, if somebody's interested in raising capital, how can they go about doing that?
Yeah, that's a great question. The things that you and I are doing right now are, as you said earlier, things you do to make this happen. It's the reason you and I are doing this podcast. I mean, we love to educate people, and that's a big part of our mission, but we're also informing people, educating people, and attracting people to us to, potentially provide them opportunities to invest. Um, Running a local meetup. You and I run a local cash flow game in Tampa. Same thing, right? We are meeting new people. We are educating them, making them aware of opportunities. And one day those people may decide to invest with us. So, I guess a couple of the themes are networking, building relationships, and educating. What, am I missing anything there?
No, I think educating is the biggest thing, and getting that's where marketing comes in. Also, getting yourself out there, letting people know this is what you're doing. Not necessarily asking publicly, "Hey, I need some money," because you can't do that. Like, let's
Right.
just make that clear. You can't say, "I need some money for X, Y, and Z." You can offer things for sale, but that's just arbitrage, right? Like, I could sell some of the notes I have on social media. That's perfectly fine. But if you're saying, "Hey, I need some money for X, Y, and Z," my understanding is you can't do it. Educating people is huge because it builds that credibility, it builds that trust, it makes it seem like you know exactly what you're doing. That's not to say you don't know what you're doing, but by educating yourself, you are learning continuously so that you can then educate others. So I think that is a big thing as well.
Yeah, and then for both of us, we need to have a relationship established before we would allow someone to invest with us. It can't be, hey, I met you one time at a meetup, or you listened to my podcast, and now I'm going to let you invest with me. It's just not going to happen that way, right? We have to build a relationship. We have to get to know the people. We want to make sure that we know them as well as they know us, that we trust them, and they have good intentions and motives, and that they see we do as well. So that's very important.
Yeah, I think understanding the motives, building the relationship, those are key things. I'm not comfortable if I just met a stranger and said, "Here's $1 million, go do what you want with it." I
Yeah,
just would
it's
get
not
so
going to happen.
nervous because it's so random.
Yeah, yeah, that's not going to happen. You have to have the relationship. And the education piece is so big, like you said, they have to understand what they're getting into.
And the last thing I want to talk about is that limiting belief. Like, if you are an investor that's looking to raise capital, you have to believe in yourself that you can do it. Like, you have to accept and understand that you, as an investor, can do that. You're providing value to people who don't entirely know what to do with their money. And I think that is something that I had to get over. Understanding that, hey, this is the value I'm bringing, this is the education, this is the team I'm building. That is where I am adding value to a deal.
Yeah. Oh, you just made me think of something that was one of my barriers early on before I raised my first bit of capital. It was me thinking that they were helping me. It was the weirdest mindset, but I'm like, oh, yeah, they're helping me by loaning me this money or contributing this money to the deal. No, wait a minute. That's kind of backwards. Like, yes, I need money to get this deal done, but I'm actually helping them because they're getting an awesome return on their money. It's a great
Exactly.
investment, right? Way better than they can do through their stock or 401k in that instance.
Yeah, and I would argue it's safer. You have more control as a partnership and in a deal. You can
Backed by
make
a hard asset.
exactly. You can make decisions with the real estate investor saying this is not what I don't like this or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
Another thing that's interesting. The last thing I wanted to mention that as of 2018, I read there's 8.8 trillion, not billion, trillion with a T, US dollars in IRA accounts.
Whoa.
That is an absurd amount of money.
We need to do an episode on why IRAs are not as good of an idea as everyone thinks and why more people don't understand that.
Yeah, we definitely should. And 401ks for that matter too, and savings accounts and all that
Right.
other fun
Oh,
stuff.
yeah. That's right. Okay. We're going to have to put that on the backlog.
Absolutely. So, listeners, if you are interested in raising capital, what are the things that you're doing to raise capital? We'd love to know what that is. If you want to talk to us about how we're raising capital, feel free to shoot us an email at techguyswhoinvest@gmail.com. Reach us on Instagram at techguyswhoinvest. Shoot us a DM. Book a time on our calendar, tgwipodcast.com/contact. We'd love to just chat with you if you're interested in raising capital or if you're interested in investing as well. Let's have a chat, whether it's notes or multifamily, or you're just trying to figure out where you want to go. We want to help you invest wisely as well as safely.
And if you happen to be in Tampa, we'd really love to hear from you and maybe see you at one of our cash flow game events.
Panera on West Shore and Kennedy on Thursdays every 3 weeks.
That's it for this episode of Tech Guys Who Invest. This is Adam.
And this is Kevin. Thank you so much for listening to us. Don't forget to join our Facebook page where we're building a community of investors so that we can share ideas, tips, and other ways to help us get out of the rat race. If you found value in this podcast, it would mean the world to us if you could share it with your network. Lastly, we love feedback. It's how we get better. So if you wouldn't mind spending 30 seconds and leaving us an honest review on iTunes or Stitcher or whatever platform you're using, that would be super sweet. If you want to get on Adam or Kevin's calendar, go to tgwipodcast.com/contact. We want to help you invest safely, wisely, and ultimately get you out of the rat race. Thanks again.